Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Friday, all of our guests today, including Thomas Drance. He's got his fan club over there in Victoria, standing by. Brought to you by the Bayside Oceanfront Resort. Whether it's a small, intimate event or a large gathering of up to 100 guests, the Bayside ready to accommodate, offering full setup, including bar service and staffing, as well as business essentials to make your event seamless.
Oh,
Call 250-248-8333 or visit BaysideResortParksville.com. Just before we get to Thomas, Brent, and Pomo, Donnie, you say you have nothing. And by the way, Brent and Pomo, I know him, okay?
Oh, he's your buddy.
Donnie, you say you have nothing against the player, Hronik, but you just question his ability to raise a fork at lunch.
You got to get off of this, Hronik.
I know,
you gotta
Brent,
give him
and
a
I
chance.
thought he
Let
had
him play.
I thought Brent had a sense of humor. Like, I'm just having some fun there, and then he piles on, you pile on.
Let him play. Let him play some games.
I don't like the trade. I was going to
get
say,
over it. You got to get over it.
Never
will.
will.
Get over it.
And I know Canuck fans are hoping I'm wrong about that. Thomas Drance, day 2 of Canucks training camp. He's over there in Victoria. Thomas, thanks for doing this, sir. How are you?
Oh, speaking of people Canucks fans are hoping are wrong, it's Thomas Drance. Hey, hi, guys. How are you?
Perfect.
Live from training camp. Let's go. Hockey feels very nearly back, and it's great to be in the rink.
Sure. You talk about Canuck fans. What about Thomas Drance fans? We got the shot of Thomas with the fan yesterday in Victoria. You're getting recognized over there, taking pictures. I'd imagine you're signing autographs. Thomas, you're famous. How does that make you feel?
The best part was shortly after that photo was taken, John Shorthouse from across the rink yells, "Stop mowing my lawn." Great. Lots of lovely Canucks fans, lots of great conversations out here, lots of polite disagreement. It's been a blast. It always is. And you love to see the way Vancouver Island comes correct when it comes to supporting this franchise. Patrick Johnston in the Vancouver province, great story today about how the Canucks are one of the only teams in the NHL that takes training camp out on the road. They've been doing it for 40 years. It's incredible. Like the environment when you get to see fans who wouldn't otherwise get a chance to interact with this team, stuff into the practice facility up in Whistler, or today, a Pro D day almost all across the province. There are tons of kids here watching a Canucks on-ice session. No matter how cynical you are, even if you're as cynical as me, that's pretty great.
Yeah. You mentioned it goes back 40 years. I remember the first few Canuck camps were in Alberta.
Oh, yes.
Medicine Hat being one of the cities. I know they're on the ice now. I understand that, Thomas. Day 1, what stood out for you?
Yeah, I was going to be like, what stood out to me? No. What stood out to me day 1? Here's the theme for me of day 1 at training camp, gentlemen. Youth was served in terms of the opportunities being afforded to a variety of young players up and down the lineup by the Vancouver Canucks. You had, everything from Arshdeep Bains getting a lengthy look on a line with Connor Garland and Pius Suter that I think we would consider a top 9 sort of line. You saw Niels Höglander get that shot with his best buddy Elias Pettersson on the top line and Andrei Kuzmenko. You saw Vasily Podkolzin audition on JT Miller's wing. Those are plum opportunities for some very young players, who uniformly have not established themselves as everyday NHL guys to this point in their careers. And in Baines' case, has yet to even make his NHL debut. On the back end, we saw something pretty similar. We saw Noah Juleson play with Quinn Hughes. We saw Cole McWard play with Carson Soucy. Now, Carson Soucy's on Hughes' right side today, one of the few changes that the club made. But when I looked up and down the lineup, when I thought about what the Canucks were doing, I was pretty surprised to see how many young players they seemed to be intent on getting an early look at. Oftentimes at training camp, you at least see a couple of lines, like 2 or 3 lines, 2 or 3 pairs, where you think, man, we're going to see that on opening night. It felt a little more experimental from Rick Tocchet when he composed his lines to open Canucks training camp in Victoria on Thursday.
Hey, Thomas, a lot of stories written about Hoglander with Pettersson and Kuzmenko yesterday. This is a big year for him, Thomas, because he couldn't get traction under Travis Green. He couldn't get traction under Boudreau. And, I mean, he did get sent to the minors. There was healthy scratches. I know you give me that look.
You would say he didn't have traction under Travis Green?
Well, okay, but did he not get a healthy scratch under Travis? Yes, he did.
Here and there, but I mean, he was 19
okay, but
20,
will you
right?
let me finish? So this is a big year for him. No, this
he played
is
a big role. He played a big role under Travis Green.
He ended the year in Abbotsford, Thomas. Okay,
his year under Travis Green, his full season under Travis Green, he played top 6
okay,
minutes.
forget I ever said that. That.
Yeah,
I know you're a big Hoglander fan.
It's important.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's important. Well, sorry, I'm sorry. It's important to note. Like, you're right, and I want to note that you're right about the global point, which is that Nils Hoglander hasn't established himself as an everyday player.
That's it.
He's now a player that requires waivers. He's now a player on a multi-year deal with a cap at above $1 million. This is a big season for him. I know that's what you're trying to say. And the reason that I'm jumping in and doing what I often do, which is, be a jerk about small semantics, is that with Hoglander, right, I don't think it's fair to say or suggest that this is a player who over multiple coaches and multiple opportunities has struggled to establish himself as an NHL regular. I think this is a player who, as a rookie at the age of 19, was basically an everyday top 6 guy for this team. Under Travis Green, he was an everyday top 9 guy for this team. And then the club changed coaches, and what sometimes happens, and we've all seen this over our decades of covering the league, is sometimes you change coaches, and a coach doesn't have a lot of time for a guy, right? And they might have an awful lot of time for another guy, right? Think about Phil DiGiuseppe, right? The star of 3 consecutive Canucks training camps, and it takes Rick Tocchet coming in for him to really get a look. Things change when you change the voice in the room, especially in terms of the pecking order and what opportunities players get. And the reason that I think it matters is I don't know that Nils Hoglander has failed multiple times. I think he's failed to ingratiate himself with one head coach, right? And Rick Tocchet's seen him play in Abbotsford, but he's never had him. He's never coached him. He's never, sort of felt it behind the bench and decided whether or not he trusted him in high leverage. And so we'll see. We'll see if Hoglander can earn Tocchet's trust, if he can earn the sort of role that I think he's going to need to earn if he's going to be, a part of the long-term solution for this team. And here's just my hunch, Rick, just my hunch. There are things that Nils Hoglander is going to need to do better, but because of his ability to win battles and because of his overall skating speed, I think there's a pretty interesting stylistic fit there. For me, Hoglander fits the profile of what you might call a north-south guy. And so I'm really curious to see how it looks when Hoglander is effectively unleashed with the new head coach.
Okay, very quickly, Thomas, Elias Pettersson, did he come across as grouchy yesterday in conversation with Jeff Patterson regarding his contract?
I think he came across as Elias Pettersson. Elias Pettersson listens to questions carefully. Mm-hmm. And sometimes if he has an out, if he can squirrel the question, he'll take it. And that's what I think happened. And then, here's the question that I want to see posed to him, gentlemen. This is how I want to see the question posed to him because I wasn't in that scrum. I just want to say, I would like to hear him ask this. Elias, there's a lot of fans wondering why you haven't committed long-term to this organization and would prefer to wait. What do you have to say to them? That's it. That's all I want to hear him asked. And I think that's all anyone is really owed in terms of what should we be saying about this, right? It's hard for me to come on, talk to you gentlemen, and say stuff like Pettersson really wanted to focus on having a good summer, right? It's I'm sure that's true. I know that's true because you can see him, but it's also not the reason. And he's, by the way, totally within his rights to keep it privately, but aren't the fans owed some sort of explanation from this player that they pay to watch and who they've grown emotionally attached to for why, he's made the choice to just wait a bit. And again, he doesn't have to share his most private, intimate thoughts. It's a big life decision, and we all understand that. But I think a little bit of understanding is not an unreasonable thing to ask for. And I suspect that down the line, he will be asked in a way where he sheds some light on it. And I think that's fine. But I had no problem with his press conference necessarily, so much as like, this is a big story. The last contract was a distraction, right? You know, I didn't think it was an unfair question from Jeff. I thought it was a very Elias Pettersson answer from Elias. And I just hope that down the line he's able to give the fans a little bit more to hold on to in terms of what his future in Vancouver looks like.
Okay, get back to taking pictures with fans and signing autographs.
And also becoming the new agent for Hoglander.
Yeah. So,
hey,
sorry, Elaine.
Hey,
sorry, Elaine.
Are you getting 4 or 5%? Unreal.
I told Elaine to take your rate and double it. So we'll see how it goes.
Thanks, Thomas.
Bye.
Cheers, boys.